Alrighty. We have been in space, or we launched off 2 days, 17 hours, and 48 minutes ago. We will be intercepting the moon in roughly half a day. 12 hours, I guess. And what we're going to do now is do our first course correction in order to get us to get in the right trajectory so we pass over the moon instead of running directly into it. And we're going to want to pass over a certain spot, specifically the base that we want to land at. So I've already set up my program here. I want to be passing over the moon at 30 kilometers. Pretty low, but you know, the moon has no atmosphere, so you can get as close to it as you can. You don't want to orbit for days at that, because your orbit will be perturbed and you'd crash into the moon, but 30 for just a couple orbits is perfectly fine. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my burn vector here. And go ahead and manually rotate over this burn vector. You can see the Earth right there. Hi Earth. Bye Earth. Alrighty, and there's the moon. Wow. Didn't expect to see it right there. So what we're going to do now is just go ahead and auto burn it for a second and see where it shows us on this map. This is why it's the first course correction, because even though we're getting pretty close, we're still not close enough for it to be accurate. So let's go ahead. Having a little technical difficulty here. Aha! Figured out my problem. Let's go ahead and rotate again. Alrighty, close enough. Let's go and auto burn it. Alrighty, so I cut that short because I was taking a look at my map right here. It currently says my periapsis in reference to the moon is 25 kilometers, and I still have just a little bit to go. If I go ahead and translate forward. Oops, that's not translation.
Translation.
That's translation. If I translate forward, I can just go ahead. Nope, 30.96 kilometers. Now, that doesn't say 0 here, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue forward. And as soon as we get even closer to the moon, just a couple hours away from the moon, I'll go ahead and do my final course correction, so we can get perfectly where we want to go. Alrighty, we are just under 3 hours out from our intercept with the moon, and I'm going to go ahead and do one of my final course corrections here. I believe the computer program can work this out on its own. I shouldn't have to manually do it myself. Alrighty, I don't think we're going to get any closer at this point. If we go ahead and take a look outside, we should be able to see the moon somewhere. Where's the moon? That's the Earth. Where's the moon? There's the moon. Alrighty. So, looks like we are going to be coming behind it. We'll go ahead, as soon as we get behind it, we'll do our orbit insertion burn. So we'll stay in orbit over the moon, and we can start making our preparations for landing. Alrighty, we are, let's see here, just over, I think, 15 minutes from our orbit insertion burn. As you can see, we're getting pretty darn close to the moon. We're going to do our burn on the backside, or the dark side of the moon. From our point of reference, I don't know if we'll be able to see the Earth. We won't be able to see the sun. Well, we might be able to see the Earth, but looks like we're coming in a highly inclined orbit. That's not a biggie, since we are going to be landing. It doesn't really matter where our orbit comes from, just as long as we cross over the point that we want to cross over. Alrighty, we are about 10 seconds out from our orbit insertion burn around the moon. It should take 37 seconds. Let's go. Alrighty. We are now in orbit over the moon. We're going to stay here for just a little while. So let's just go ahead and start our preparations for perfectly lining up with our base at Brighton Beach, and then we can go ahead and land. Alrighty, if we take a look at this map here, this is the map of the moon. I know it looks kind of weird because we don't know any of the landscape or anything on the moon. Well, at least I don't. I doubt you do either, but as you can see here, our orbit is going to be crossing over Brighton Beach. I don't believe it is going to be perfect, though. Let's go ahead and take our tracking off. Zoom in. Yeah, as you can see, it's just going to miss it. And I want to get that right over Brighton Beach. So what we're going to do is do one last little course correction here in orbit. Use my, let's see here, base sync MFD. Alrighty. Our closest passing to Brighton Beach right now is just over a mile, or 1.8 kilometers. Let's just go ahead and orient ourselves here. We want to bring this distance down to almost 0. I'm going to use my linear translation thrusters in order to adjust this. It's just kind of a little guesswork here in order to figure it out. Okay, that brings it higher. That brings it lower. Well, I don't think we're going to get any better than that. We are going to be passing over Brighton Beach in just under a meter, I guess. It's 1 meter? I think so. think that's that one. What that means. I don't have a lot of experience with this little computer program that I'm using, but I think that's what it means. Now it's fluctuating a little bit. So now what I need to do is go ahead and lower my periapsis. I want to lower it to about 5 kilometers, so when I pass over Brighton Beach, I don't have to travel that far downwards. So let me just go ahead and pull up my orbit. MFD here. I'm gonna take a look at my periapsis. And I'm gonna go ahead and fire my retro rockets, my retro thrusters, until my periapsis is about 5. Alrighty. It says just about 5 there. That's good enough for me. Now we're just going to go ahead and speed forward time. Oh, hang on. Our distance is off again. Let's go ahead and see if we can adjust that. Okay. Just over 1 meter. I don't think we need to be any more exact than that. I'm just going to go ahead and speed forward time here until we get to our periapsis. And we can prepare for a landing at Brighton Beach.